Last video, I mentioned how I put in the YouTube application, and literally the day after, I got the email saying I've been accepted into the YouTube program. We have hit the benchmarks. We have crossed our T's and dotted our S's. We are officially YouTube partners. So all I gotta say is thank you. Individually, the thank you might not mean a lot, but it does for me, because it allowed me to consider this something I can do as a side hustle. And that is fucking cool, because all I really want to do is talk about movies, horror movies specifically, with you guys who are just as big of fans as I am. And it's just so fucking cool to find your community and find your people in a world that is just fucking so confused and so just cynical. It's just cool to be in a place where I can just talk about this shit, and you guys are equally as excited, and I can feel it. I can feel it, you can feel it, and it's just fucking awesome. So thank you. It's because of you that I've been accepted. And this video is going to be a little different. So it's not necessarily different because it's just pretty much everything I do, but a little bit more of what I usually do, which is to say, I kind of want this video to be something that you like watch while you're eating. You know, you watch while you're eating, and you're like, let's see what Patrick uploaded. Oh my God, it's an hour and a half. And so you watch me while you eat, or while you're shitting, wherever you feel like you have time, just kind of sit back and relax. It's not gonna be an hour and a half though. Definitely not. That's for another video. But this video is going to be just a culmination of reviews of movies that I've seen in the last few days that I haven't gotten a chance to make individual reviews for. So this review will be an assembly of little mini reviews that I deliver to you, and a trailer reaction to a horror film called Crawlers, which is a arachnid horror movie that I knew was going to come out in October, during which I found out about, while doing my research for one of my videos. I think it was like my most anticipated horror movies of the year or something like that. I found out about this movie. I was like, oh wow, another arachnid horror. And I say another because 2 years ago we had Sting and we had Infested, and now we have another one. It just seems like they're coming back. It's like the nostalgia era. 80s slashers are here, retro cyberpunk is here, Goosebumps style themed horror movies are here, grungy gore is back, grindhouse movies are kicking in the front door, and now we're getting arachnid horror. So, which, we don't get enough bug horror. We don't get enough bug horror. We don't get enough films like The Fly. We don't get enough movies like Mimic. God knows we can use a remake of Mimic. Honestly, I mean, all the other ones kind of are ass. Not kind of, they are ass. But the first one, oh, come on, Guillermo. Can we get another one? That would be so cool. This is one of those sequels that every couple years, or remakes every couple years, that in the back of my head I go, I do want that. I do want a remake to that. Not enough people talk about Mimic, and we need it. But anyway, so I'm going to react to Crawlers, but before I do, we're going to jump on our first review. So I'm going to just tell you right off the bat the movies that we're reviewing. So it's going to be at the end of Oak Street. It's going to be and this is more just me praising this movie. I watched the 10-year anniversary of Train to Busan, and as someone who is over the hill about Colony coming out in a couple weeks, I rewatched it in theaters, although I own it, but it's a remaster, revised Train to Busan with a director commentary at the end, which was awesome. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. And then the unseen scream for today was It Ends. And I'm going to talk about these three movies. And I might actually talk about a video game. Let's kick this bitch right off with The End of Oak Street. I know that word of mouth is pretty fucking gnarly. People seem to be liking this film, and this is just in conversation. I don't actually know what the Rotten Tomatoes score is at. But I'm a guess. It's a pretty safe bet that this movie is probably pretty well liked. There's a lot to like about it, but I ultimately do not fuck with this film. Now, I before you guys attack me, in case you are the ones that love this movie and go, well, it's just a simple dinosaur movie about murder and carnage, and that's what it is, and that's all you should get, and that's why it's great. I agree. It does all of that. But I just feel like we haven't done what we could with dinosaur films, because every single one of them, I say every single one of them, like if we're fucking like if it's just been anything other than Jurassic Park films. Well, I take it back. Primitive War, that dinosaur film came out last year, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard great things about it. Very low budget film about dinosaurs during the Vietnam War. It's fucking crazy, and it's on my list. I really, really want to watch it. And that same director is making another movie about dinosaurs in the Wild West. Cowboys are right. This director is cooking. He's cooking something. But I've heard nothing but great things about that movie. Has like a very low budget, but grindhousey, ambitious take on dinosaurs, and I really need to see that, and I actually own it, but I just haven't. Fucking so many movies that I have that I own that I haven't watched. I know a lot of you can relate. You probably have as big of a section in your library of movies that are still in their wrappers. That's in that section for me. But the other dinosaur film that I think, in my opinion, did almost what I wanted it to do was 65. Falling into our Earth, onto our Earth, into our atmosphere during the time of the dinosaurs. And that's something we don't realize until the title sequence comes on. It was a really unique twist. And even though I believe it was PG-13, it still treated the dinosaurs. And granted, if you gave this movie another $10 million, I'm sure they would have done more. But for a small dinosaur movie that came out of nowhere, and I think it also actually landed in January and February, I thought it wasn't half bad. I actually really enjoyed that. Maybe it's just because the nuance of that simple thing. It's like, hey, it's actually on Earth, and he's from another planet. I thought that was really cool. I thought that they treated the dinosaurs in a very horror film-esque manner. There's a whole chase sequence in a cave with a raptor. Like that movie's really good. Like, it's a fun movie, but nothing else has ever tried to just not be Steven Spielberg, right? And this movie is just it's Super 8 if Steven Spielberg directed it, which is crazy because J.J. Abrams produced this and he directed Super 8. And Super 8 is a movie I actually think is massively underrated, because I really, really think that before the whole like 80s, before movies started consistently trying to place and set their movies in the 80s, that was a 2008 film, I believe, and that was one of the first ones on a larger scale during the 2000s to set a big sci-fi family ET-like movie in the 80s to that scale that landed in theaters. And I love Super 8. I really love. This was before it caught on, before Stranger Things, before it really became a thing. And so I really like Super 8. But the problem is that this is basically this is basically the production quality of Super 8 with the Spielberg singe, and it's just, as much as it's not Jurassic Park, and it does a pretty good job of kind of standing on its own 2 feet, it still is so Spielberg laced that I can't help but think about Steven Spielberg. And of course it's under his emblem, entertainment production company, so it's like the parallels are going to be there. And I think that's my biggest issue, is that this doesn't really do much outside of just trying to perfect the formula that's already been done over and over by the very people that this is inspired and produced by. I think the family is just a family. They have some drama dynamic here. Anne Hathaway's mom is the responsible one. Ewan McGregor's father is kind of the... you could tell that when he was younger, he was the pothead guy who just got lucky with his wife and realized as he got further ahead in life that he's kind of in a situation where, like, if I want to keep my wife, I actually have to do something with my life. And he just happens to be the most likable fucking character in the movie because he refuses to grow up and is okay with it. And I think he is more relatable than Anne Hathaway's character. The kids are just kids. They do a fine job. I think the family dynamic is very much akin to the charming 80s family. They're kind of edgy. They make the jokes. They're what you expect. I mean, this could easily be a neighborhood in Stranger Things or in Super 8. So that's there. There's no special commentary I can give on that because it's literally just, it's that beat by beat. When the dinosaurs come in, I do like that the dinosaur designs are much more accurate to what we are now learning dinosaurs actually looked like, which was reptilian, but also very bird-like. There is a paleontologist somewhere who is like literally just has a wet spot in their pants from just how awesome these dinosaurs look. And ultimately, man, if that's what you're showing up for, there are some really excellent action sequences in this movie. There really are, like, especially a night sequence. There's a night sequence where one of the kids decides, oh my god, my dog's outside, I'm gonna go outside where the dinosaurs are by myself with a bat and a book bag, because 80s kids always had to have a bag and a book bag, and a bat in a book bag, and I'm gonna go and find my dog. Which is like, granted, dude, we're all gonna fucking go outside for our cats and dogs, right? But in a movie, that scene was a fantastic sequence. The whole night sequence when the family decides to go after the kid because he's gone, he's outside. We gotta go get him. They go after him, and it leads into a series of action sequences that go into the day. And I think that's a really strong middle section of this film. I think where this film kind of falters is just that there's nothing else there that makes this film distinctly different from a J.J. Abrams or a Steven Spielberg movie. And that's disappointing because the director of It Follows is known very much so for It Follows. And so my expectations were, if he could build on the dinosaur horror using the dread of a film like It Follows, right? And I feel like if he were to take that look, that build up, that dread, and implement it into this creature feature, even though it's different, sort of this thing you can't see that's stalking you, and then dinosaurs. But if you were to take a little bit of those sensibilities of building up horror scenes the way you did in It Follows, and utilizing that to build the horror scenes in this movie, then it would have felt different enough for me to go, yeah, this movie stands on its own 2 feet. It's not inspired by anything that's come before it, like every other movie ever. And unfortunately, it doesn't do enough to be anything other than what I think is a perfectly acceptable streaming film. If you're gonna watch this movie, you're gonna watch it in theaters, right? You should. It's dinosaurs. Get a big fucking screen. Get the speakers. Get the Dolby. Get fucked by the sound and the visuals. But ultimately, I don't think there's anything about this movie that I would have like seen on Netflix and be like, yeah, that's fine. It's a fine film. It's just a movie that does what it needs to do to get you going like, hey, ha. And then it's over, and I haven't thought about it since. There's nothing that like really sticks out to me. There are some pretty raunchy, violent scenes in this movie that the PG-13 rating really fucking pushes, particularly with one character that I was like, holy shit. No, there was no foreshadowing that. Like in that moment, the way you would expect a movie to foreshadow that, someone gets got in such a fucked up way, and I was like, hey, this is a PG-13 movie. This is where the Spielbergian fucking gist fucking comes in, because Spielberg loved pushing that PG-13 rating. It was his Temple of Doom that the PG-13 rating was created because of that film. The PG-13 rating was created. So it's like, yeah, no, I get it. You did it. And that I thought was cool. I was like, yes, I like that. The last 10 minutes of this movie feel like they were shot on purpose because the ending would have been unsatisfying. But what they managed to do with the ending of this film is create a further fucking plot hole. Because they do something in this movie that should make waves across the entire story, like the entire structure. It is the one moment this movie has something that makes it more than a dinosaur movie, because we start touching on other, very quickly and very subtly, we start touching on like other, sort of elements of science, like high fantasy, high sci-fi type shit. Okay, we're talking like time stuff. Okay, and we get to this point where we introduce something that solves a problem, but that in itself creates another that could have easily made for some kind of small sequel bait at the end, and it just ends. And it's like as if somehow they don't know what they got. Like they have no idea what they just did, what they could do with it. But anyway, enough about that fucking film. Let's move on to a masterpiece. masterworks, and that is Train to Busan. Now, Train to Busan needs absolutely no introduction. If you've been around, you know what the Train to Busan did to the people when that film came out, I believe in 2016. Although it's 10-year anniversary. Easily the best zombie film ever made, because it taps into something fucking terrifying in a way that zombies haven't been, right? And this film did come out at a time where The Walking Dead was very much high marks for everybody. And I'm a Walking Dead apologist, dude. I love The Walking Dead. I'm still keeping up, okay? Fuck you. I'm still keeping up. Don't judge me, okay? I love The Walking Dead. I since day one, when they premiered that first episode, I bought every single graphic novel, and I've read them all, and I keep up with I keep up with Dead City. I've kept up with Daryl Dixon. I've kept up with The Ones Who Lived. I've even kept up with the two season show about the high schoolers who would be high schoolers that fucking have to live in an apocalypse, not knowing what the world was like before, and that only lasted 2 seasons. I've kept up with Fear the Walking Dead. Like, I am a fucking Walking Dead bitch. The conversation we're having is that for me to hold that to such high regard, because we always turn on things we love, right? And when Walking Dead was in high marks for everyone, it was very much spoken about in such a crazy manner. And so I think in the same breath as the early seasons of The Walking Dead was for everyone, Train to Busan is something that was so different for the American market, and it came out and it gave you this terrifying sense of dread. Like, you'll fantasize about slow walking zombie apocalypse, right? Like, we all want that to happen, so we can just kill without remorse things that are already dead. But with Train to Busan, no one, and I mean no one, wants to fuck with those zombies. No one fantasizes about those zombies because they're stuff of nightmares. The movie gets so much right. The idea of being in a confined space with people who turn against each other. Every train cart in this movie becomes its own set piece. And at some point, the movie becomes a commentary, or at least a showcase about the distinction in class, right? You know, you have this one of the nastiest, most hated fucking characters for me in all of cinema, and it's that fucking COO of the train station who's in there constantly throwing innocent people into zombie mosh pits so he can get away. And one thing this movie does brilliant is at the very end, it has him be this close to dying, and then what does he do? He grabs someone and throws them in the way. And it does this for like fucking 12 minutes, and you're like, you're not even worried about the zombies anymore. Now you're rooting for those fucking zombies, which is a brilliant thing the director did, is this whole time you're rooting for the characters to survive. But by the third act, you're rooting for the zombies to get that motherfucker. But there's so much that works in this film, from the sort of, you know, the class conflict that exists in these cards, which very much reminds me of Snowpiercer, the film and the show. There's so many great elements, and there's this sort of commentary about fatherhood, right? And this great foreshadowing about the sacrifice that both of these fathers have to make sure their loved ones survive. You know, one of the greatest Korean actors, whose name I won't butcher, but he is in the Roundup, one of my favorite Korean action franchises ever. And he says, like, hey, we as dads, we make all the sacrifice and get none of the praise. And I'm like, that quote fucking hits so hard by the end of the movie. when they both have to make that sacrifice, you know, and it breaks your heart. This is one of those movies that not only has impeccable action sequences, impeccable horror, an incredible understanding of the space that they're in. They built these trains to film in completely. They built these trains to film in their own lot, in their own set, so that they could, record around them and film around them. And they made them a little bit wider, and this is all in the commentary at the end with the director. He talks about how they made the trains wider so that they could have more dynamicism in the camera, and how whenever they wanted to make the distinction between the characters going either back or forwards in the train, he shot either on the left or right side. And that's a small thing, but like a lot of directors, if you pay attention, don't do that. And I just love his vision for how he made an entire movie inside of a train. And I know that that's not new. We have plenty of movies that take place in a train, but most of them are action films, right? A horror film of this caliber feels so big yet so confined to such a common space, and every actor and every actress is like absolutely at the top of their fucking game. Even the one you fucking hate, you love to hate him because he's just so good at fucking sucking. But no movie's perfect. That being said, this movie is impeccable. The score is incredible, and even just the change of pace in the actual action sequences, like each cart presents a challenge. You know, 1 second we're slowly using sound. Once we understand that these things go into stasis when the lights go out, we're using sound to get them on the other side of the cart so we can blitz around, like to just straight up rocking and socking them, like rock'em sock'em robots. You're terrified that one of your favorite characters is going to die. Even your side characters are so dense. You know, for instance, you get the high school kids, right, who are just coming from a game and they're in the train. And they get separated, and then when they come together, only one's left alive, and he has to see his whole team infected. And he sees this as he walks into a cart. His entire team looks back at him, and they're all zombified. And that realization of like, I'm gonna have to do something I don't want to do to kids that, you know, these are my friends. These are kids I've grown up with, and now I have to fucking find it in my heart to bash their fucking skulls in. To, you know, the old ladies who are sisters, who clearly have each other, and that's all, which motivates one character to do something because the other one dies. Like, every character is loaded with some purpose that informs the story, informs their actions, all this in a confined space that is just so well put together, man. And I've never seen a person not react to this movie emotionally. And being in a theater watching it again was just such a gift. I loved it. And I'm so much more, if I wasn't already fucking glowing about Colony, I am fucking fuming with excitement because I thought today's unseen screen was going to be Colony. Now, the next movie that I'm going to talk to you about, the unseen screen of tonight, is a movie that has me wholly fucking conflicted. Not so much for the movie itself, but because when I walked into the unseen screen tonight, I thought that I was getting a horror film, an unseen screen. Well, what I got was a cosmic coming-of-age story that has no conventional horror elements, but is much more a dramedy wrapped in a very clear, translucent, fucking blink and you might miss it kind of cosmic horror vibe to it that just isn't. And I love cosmic horror. I really genuinely do. But this film uses that as a base to explore life. And while I am all for that message, and it's on me because I was literally hyping myself up about watching that it was going to be Colony or that it was going to be Buddy, because that also comes out next week or on the 28th. It wasn't. So the movie's called It Ends, the first-time director. So the movie follows a group of friends, some who are about to go to college, going on a road trip to get there, and they get stuck on an infinite loop. I say loop, but it's like a straight road. The road never ends. And the more they drive, the more weird shit they start realizing. Like the gas tank has been on empty, but the car still drives as if they're sort of stuck in time. Like if there is no gas that's being wasted anymore. Like the car should not be moving this long, should not be driving for this long at E. Are almost at E. And they start realizing that they're not hungry and they're not sleepy. And soon they get attacked by a group of rabid people who are just clearly very scared. And they come out of the woods and they try to take their car. And that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the movie. They realize they cannot stop or else people from the woods will come in and attack them. And the movie becomes a metaphor for accepting life. Well, not singularly, I should say. The movie becomes a metaphor for life. And the car is almost synonymous with decisions that they can control in this sort of, this road that they're on, right? We're all on this road, but everything that is, they can control, everything that is within their focal point. Everything that they can make a decision about is within the confinements of this vehicle. And you find yourself getting to know these characters. They try to make routines while they take turns driving to rest. And they have these schedules where they try to remember things together, and they try to dig into each other's personal experiences in life, and it becomes very therapeutic. And they start almost turning the interior of the car as a sort of escape from the outside world that they're driving through, which is just literally a fucking straight road and nothing but trees. And they see no sight. They see no end in sight. This car is, as much as this road is, an allegory for their personal experiences moving ahead. And each and every single one of them take a very different approach to handling the metaphor and handling and reflecting on the decisions they've made in their life before they got on this road, which now they're stuck on, and all they can do is just accept the situation and keep driving forward. Yeah, you have characters that are leaning towards faith because they are used to believing in something because it comes from structure. Having a belief system could also be synonymous with having discipline to guide you towards this destination, and sort of following blindly towards this sort of end of the road without questioning it. And some of the other characters, they're too self-aware. You know, some of these other characters express them trying to unalive themselves at a certain point in their life. Others express the inability to commit to certain relationships because they're unfulfilled with themselves. And it's basically these characters, this group becomes a kaleidoscope of different people and experiences. And while it's through the eyes of characters that are obviously Gen Z, it could absolutely be associated with all of us. You know, it's how we were in our youth and where we are in our youth, and what decisions we make that could then dictate what our adulthood is going to look like. And some of us still are on this road, in this vehicle. And this is why I say that I'm very conflicted, because while I, in moments of watching this film, felt a sense of nostalgia, even though it's through the eyes of Gen Z, it's still very much a universal meaning. It's a universal message of us who are still in our coming of age part of our story, even though we are adults, millennials, whatever. Like, we are very much, we can see ourselves through these characters, even if these characters are doing mildly dramatic things like just screaming in the middle of the woods. They look like crazy Karens just yelling at nothing. Even if I'm not over the hill about this movie, I could easily make an entire video dissecting its meaning, because it is about redundancy. It is about running towards something blindly. It is about stopping to smell the roses. This movie talks about indulging in the small things and taking pleasure in something as small as a simple song. But my problem with this is that it's in an unseen screen. It's not a horror movie. Its premise and its setup is, but this is much more existential in nature, and it's very much a deep-rooted character. There is no creature. There are no creatures here. There's no real, like, terrifying cosmic thing. There's a cosmic sense of dread, but there's no cosmic thing that we can say that is a villain. The villain here is isolation. Living, not knowing how to handle life. And it's a strong message, and I cannot knock a movie for knowing exactly what it is, but I can knock AMC for fucking sitting me down and lying to me. I also think that the movie is maybe 40 minutes too fucking long. It is an hour and a half. This movie's premise could easily be a 30-minute short, a strong short, but I find myself comparing this movie to Skinamarink, which I fucking detested and could not sit through that fucking movie, even though I did. Mentally, I walked out. This movie could be sort of akin to something of the liminal existential horror end, but this is like more bearable than Skinamarink because there's characterization and there's something you can relate to, man. But if you watch this under the pretense that you're gonna get a fucking horror movie, you're not. This is not. And if you think that this is a light watch, boy, and you're going through shit, make sure your therapist or BetterHelp, which this is not sponsored, okay? But you make sure you got BetterHelp on the fucking line or on speakerphone to walk you through as you pause this movie. And the movie is also not subtle in many, many points. It just bashes you over the head with street signs that literally spell it out for you. It's just there's literally a part of the movie that says end of the road. How many times in your life have you heard someone refer to life and the end of the road? This movie has no subtlety. And whenever you think it does, it goes hold my driver's permit. And it does a thing. And you're like, fuck. All right, this is why this movie is way too fucking long. It should have been 30 minutes. And I would have been like, I appreciate that. That was cool. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying go to the movie theater and watch this movie. You will know based on what I just described to you if this is a movie for you. Just know that this is not a horror film, no matter who the fuck and what the fuck tells you it is. The trailer also says a horrifying movie. The fuck, bitch, where? Luckily, this week we have a couple of movies that we're gonna catch in theaters. Insidious 6, which, you know, the Insidious movies for the most part suck. And, but this one just has a different feeling for me. The trailer feels quality. The production looks quality. This one just looks like it really is just evil. And I kind of want to watch it. So hopefully that's great. Hotspot also comes out later this week. Christ. And for all you dads out there that love Jason Statham, Mutiny's coming out. And I do like the first film that director made before this one, Plane. So I will be watching it. Can't go wrong with Jason Statham if you know what you're getting into. I did like Shelter. I did enjoy Beekeeper. So he's on a nice little streak, and this one looks like it'll be fun. So I'm also going to watch Hellcat, which is out on Shudder, and I'm trying to find Penny Lane is Dead, which is the Australian film that was supposed to stream and premiere on Shudder last week, from my recollection. So I gotta find that because I'm eager to watch it. But anyway, I believe we have a trailer to react to. About to watch a trailer to Crawl, so fingers crossed that it's fucking good.
I am living my best life. I am protected.
Oh no.
I have...
Wait, real quick. Do you know that people on average, while they sleep, have eaten, I believe the number was 17 spiders in their lifetime? Probably a fact you didn't need to know, but a fact that I delivered to you nonetheless. Anyway, let's continue.
No fear. I am safe.
George, you in there? What's going on? Police are sealing the building. It's spiders. They're on every floor. They're everywhere. We're so fucked.
Indeed. Dude, that's fucking...
They're gonna gas the building with us in it. Oh my god!
Okay. Okay. It looks like a movie. It definitely does feel a little bit infested laced. I'll watch it. It's from the producer of John Wick. You could tell it has it looks like it looks like this is happening in the Continental in John Wick. It looks like it'll have some good gore and some bad CGI. So yeah. But it comes out in October, so I'm not gonna shoot down an opportunity to watch a horror movie in the theater in October. That is all for this video. It's gonna be a good chunky video for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. I hope I made you feel a little less alone if you're feeling like the characters from It Ends. And thanks again. And as always, I will see you at the movies.